Hello, everyone. We have returned. That's right. Welcome to PinkPixels. I'm your host, CausticPhoenix, here on the Gamers Channel. And you know, every week we have the chance to sit down with amazing individuals in the game space who are movers, who are shakers, who are making the plays better. And who doesn't want that? We spend so much time loving the games that we play, appreciating the cosplays that we see, appreciating and taking in the energy of events that we go to. And it's all thanks to people who put their heart, their passion, their energy in making spaces like this inviting, that make the spaces like this exciting, and so much more. Now, we have an amazing guest this evening joining us, but that's no surprise to you all. She's actually already said hello in chat, so it's not like a bit of a surprise here in this space, but I want to turn it over anyway so that you can hear directly from our amazing talent herself. Let's say hello to SheIsBoogie. Boogie, come say hello.
Hello. Hi, everybody. So just like Caustic said, my name is SheIsBoogie. I go by first person variety shooter. What does that mean? It just means I shoot first and I play the games later. Where do I begin with who I am, what I do? I am a gamer, content creator, cosplayer, mentor, graphics designer. I pretty much wear several hats. I call myself the boogie of all trade. And I am also, some of you guys may know me, I am the two-time Coach of the Year winner for the Game Hers. So I won not just this year, but last year as well for my first time ever entering into the space like that. So this is going to be fun because you guys get to know so much more about me other than just Apex. It's my main game, but I play, like I said, all other shooters, but I play everything under the sun. So I'm excited.
We are excited to have you here. This just reminds me again and again that there's a big difference from what we see on screen. Like, here they are playing this game. They're an Apex player. And then behind the screen is this long list of accolades and effort and just constant work to try to make something that is truly amazing, to bring all of this into fruition. Now, obviously, all of this had to start someplace. There was something that you loved, gaming, that said, you know what, let's keep doing more of this. When did you find your love of gaming? How long ago did your journey begin?
When I was a wee lad, you know.
So,
right. I got you. I saw it. I saw it. So gaming started for me when I was very, very young. My mom, she was a gamer. So Miss Pac-Man, that was her thing. Hearing the stories that she would tell me, like she was always at the arcade. Like she would ask her dad for some quarters, be at the arcade, and she always had like top score Miss Pac-Man.
Dang.
So that was that's how it started for me when she just let me watch. You know, as a kid, you know, some parents just have their child there and it's just like watching the game. I was just super intrigued. I think she was playing Super Mario on Super Nintendo. So that right there is just a classic. So it went from just watching, holding a controller. I got smart because she did me like the little sibling syndrome where it's not plugged up.
Oh,
but here's the controller.
Your mom did that to you?
My mom did that. Yes.
Don't bother my gameplay, kid.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, we can play together.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I got smarter and I was just like, I'm not doing nothing. So I would reset the game and scurry away whenever I realized it. So
how did you not get grounded for that?
I was a quick crawler, she said. She was just like you're sitting down and you're not expecting to get the full reset. And it's just like, you know how like when you see cats about to do something and like they go super slow? That was me as a child.
Yes.
But like once I did it, gone.
Yeah.
But so started with just watching Super Mario to gaining my own system. Never forget on Christmas, Super Nintendo 64, Gold Edition, sitting under the tree. I didn't open nothing else. Like 8 a.m., I'm plugging the TV up. Like I see it. Santa, thanks.
Sure.
I'll get the other stuff later. So
priorities. You had focus even then.
Yes, I made the space for it and everything. Like vivid. So just by growing up, especially as an only child, I had to make
Yeah.
my own fun when I didn't have my siblings
Mm.
around. And just video games just through and through just helped me out with that.
Siblings
My
are
mom was
fine. They're kind of overrated. I hope my brother's listening right now. It's personal.
Nothing personal, nothing
Yeah,
personal. We
yeah,
promise.
yeah. But you did. You found essentially connection through games then.
Yep. So once I got older, I want to say when I turned 13, that's when I got a GameCube and Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess just came out.
Ooh.
And already kind of growing into Zelda games by playing the old school ones and everything. So when that one came out, it was a real shocker. And I
Mhm.
devoted so much time into that game. I'm talking, I went and bought the playthrough book. And I'm just like, I was like, well,
Respect.
we already have 3 saved files. I
Yeah.
don't mind restarting one of these.
Mhm.
And like, by the time I get to the second boss, I'm like 17 hearts in. I'm like, this is what's up. Let's go. So
You came prepared, but that's like that was the full commitment. I think when people are like, "Oh, I always loved gaming growing up," you're like, "No, no, no," but I loved gaming growing
like
up.
I love
It's a
like
level of commitment
uh,
and dedication to say not just that I play this, but I'm going all in on this.
absolutely. So like
Mm.
I would do my homework. I think it was like some rare occasions where I would want to have a sleepover. By the time Saturday afternoon hit, I'm like, listen, y'all go home because that's that. Oh,
Yeah.
so the funny story is out
Hmm.
of all of my friends, my female friends, I was the only video gamer as a woman.
Mm.
So it was just like, everybody's like, so you just sit around and play this all day? Yes.
Hmm. Yeah.
You don't go, no. Do you want to? I do,
Hmm.
but this is here.
Yes. Yes.
So it was around the time when Disney and Pixar movies became video games as soon as the movie came out.
Yep.
Do you want to go to the movies or do you want to play the game? I'm
Hmm.
like, I can get the movie and the game.
Yeah. And then you get to interact more. You're a part of it.
Yes.
Instead of being a passive viewer, you get to be the one who drives them. They're the reason they're taking
Hmm.
steps forward. Mm.
So it was
Okay.
just so I was always just excited with that. So here we are years later and I'm just same way, but now I've grown such a desire to be able to meet other people
Hmm.
because growing up a Nintendo kid, there was no such thing as playing online.
Yeah.
When the Wii came out, I still didn't play online. I was like, this is a little tricky out here.
How do we
I'm
do
not
this?
too
Who
sure.
am I connecting with? Yeah.
I was like online. I was like, mm-mm. I was like, this need Wi-Fi. I said no. So I was always real tricky about it. But once one of my friends actually gifted me an Xbox for my birthday.
Hmm.
Xbox One.
Are they looking
And
for a new friend? I would love a friend who gifted me an Xbox. Hello, I'm in the
like,
market for more friends.
like I remember I was at work and like they texted me and they was like, happy birthday. What you doing? I was like, oh, I'm at work. They're like, it's like 2 in the afternoon. I'm like, I ain't
Yeah.
doing nothing all day. So they came to my job and my friends are very nonchalant back then.
Yeah.
So like it was like they loved me so much. It was just like, happy birthday. They dropped it off and left. They came back and I was just like, oh, you forgot something. They was like, yeah. And like our love sign, we would always pluck each other in the forehead.
Hmm.
It was just like,
Endearing.
I don't want to touch you, but I don't want you to touch me, but I want you to know that I adore you. Wow.
Is that
So
just a little flick? Okay.
just a
New
little
love
like,
language
whoop.
unlocked. Got it.
Yep. So like when people like boop the snooze, like boop.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was us. It was a wow. There you
Okay.
go.
Fair. Fair. What a kind friend. So you knocked your friend, thanked them, and now Xbox is in your life. New system.
Yes.
Are you still an Xbox person?
I am. I do have a PC now, but I
That's okay.
do enjoy
Yes.
playing my Xbox. That's been my baby,
Fair.
So
Now, obviously, you did break into doing some of the internet components. You're playing against other people now. What? Okay, so you mentioned it earlier, Apex. You play a lot of games now. Still some
mhm.
Zelda calls to you, or not Zelda. What was it? Why did my brain break? Was it Zelda? Yes, it's Zelda.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
It
No, I
was.
was like, I shouldn't have doubted myself. Dang it, dang it. What is it like now to see where you've gone in your gaming career? Like how far you've come along?
Gosh, I tell people every day, like, I don't know how I got here. Like, I'm like, this is an accident, but it's on purpose, and it's a purposeful accident that just keeps going. You
Yes,
know,
yes. What a weird
especially
phrase. Break that down. Accidental, purposeful.
it was like purposely on accident.
Yeah.
So it was something to where playing a game one day, my friends was just like, "Yo, you're so funny. Why don't you stream?" Like people
Hmm.
would love, you being funny. And I'm like, well, I don't think it's funny because it's like actually my life.
Hmm.
Like these stories that I tell, like I don't make this up. Like
Hmm.
I'm at work. It's like, it's like typical places and they're just like, ha ha he he. And
This is my life.
I'm like, no. So they were just like, yo, you start streaming. And I was just
Hmm.
like, I'll see.
Hmm.
Unbeknownst to me, I already was streaming on Mixer. So on Xbox, when you was able to just like go ahead and just start streaming,
Hmm.
I would playing Destiny and I didn't know what I was doing. I just was like, oh, what's this button? I was like, stream, bow, and I did it.
Hmm.
And then I started seeing a chat box and I'm like, so who is this? I'm thinking it's my friends. I'm like, oh, you can type in Destiny? Oh, that's lit. And then I'm like, I don't even think they're playing the game. I was like, how do you send an emoji? And then it hit me like I'm in a mid raid and
Oh.
I just see the chats like flying. I'm like, how are they texting this fast? And then like I really felt like somebody's auntie or because I was so lost. And they were just
How do you
like you're
use
sending.
this?
I'm like, what is this contraption? And like somebody was like, yo, you're 200 followers in and you don't know you're streaming. I'm like, it's how many?
Hmm. Hmm.
So from Mixer to Twitch,
Yep.
that's when it was just like the big, all
Hmm.
right, let's see what's going on.
Right.
And I started loving the networking, the interactions, the connections I was having.
Hmm.
They was loving me just messing around on Apex because this was right when I was just learning it. So I started out like a lot of streams like oh, I want to get good at the game before I stream it. No, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have no aim. I
Hmm.
had stick drift out the yayo. I didn't know what was going on, and people still came.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it
Of
was
course they
just
did.
something that was right. It's just I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. I was like, I don't. Are you here for me for real, or are we here for the failure? And
But they're
I
here. That's what matters,
was like,
right?
what you're here? But I was like, for what reason though? And yeah, like it's just I just kept going. People was loving my stories. They was
Hmm.
loving my jokes. How I played the game, how I just kept it light, and
Mm. Mm.
I always say, come from my personality. My gameplay is the bonus, and
Ooh.
that's really like my biggest thing that I've always wanted to keep to myself is just like let my personality stick out.
Right.
The gameplay is the bonus,
Hmm.
and that's why a lot of my community is. They met me. Now, some might have met me raging at a random in Apex, and they stuck around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They're like,
you're
we can deal with
here.
this.
I got you. And and it just like overflowed with just love of abundance and
Mm.
support. And people started asking me questions about it. And I'm like, I don't know, but I could look it up. And then the accident just kept going and going and going. So then I felt like I had a purpose because
Okay.
I started realizing more and more people were like, I helped this person. Okay, cool. They know somebody. Oh, this person helped me. I know they'll help you. And then they come back and it's like, oh, this person's starting to stream. They're XYZ123,
Hmm.
can you help them? Do you mind helping them? No, not at all. And it just kept going. And I just was like,
I love
well,
that.
I'm here now. So
Hmm. I like
a
that though.
purpose.
I think sometimes when we think of like that purposefulness or growth, sometimes we think like you got to go to the next big thing, the next big thing, and the next big thing. But when I hear from you, you're like, here's who I can help. Oh, they helped me. I'm going to help them. I want to make sure that there's this mutually beneficial kind of lifting everyone up. Like there's this joy in exploring and learning together, which is so
Mhm.
lovely. I love it. I love it. And I can see like obviously your community likes you. I see Mocha, Ray of Sunshine came in here with all caps of
Oh,
boogie.
yeah.
You know, it's so there's that
I-
launching
yes.
because you're right, like whether we're playing video games as fellow content creators or we're just doing like a just chatting like what we're doing here, the idea is like yeah we're here and we're connecting because there's that personality connection. Like we enjoy spending time together, we enjoy learning about one another, and that's really the heart of it. It reminds us of like yeah, you know, when you grow up you like playing video games with other people or you like particular characters or npcs because of the personalities developed in it, and that hooks us in. That's so valid. So for you, you've now developed not just a community, but like a whole network of individuals who are excited, that are growing, that are helping one another. That is so amazing. You've got to be proud of yourself, right?
I am. No, I really, really am. Because what's funny is Ray of Sunshine,
Mhm.
I met him last year at DreamCon. Like
Yeah.
it's literally a year to date. And first day he was with our mutual friend.
Hmm.
And he was just like, "Oh, you're Boogie? I'm not leaving your side." And I just okay.
Are we friends now? Yes.
Not gonna argue. I'm not gonna argue with a man that knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not leaving. All right.
Hmm.
And just hanging out with him over that weekend, he was just so excited. He's like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to start fangirling. I know I watch them. I do this, and I'm just like, oh hey so and so, hey y'all, getting selfies and whatnot. And he's
Hmm.
just like, how you know all these people? Like, who are you for real? Like, I just met, like, I know you know my friend, but I
Hmm.
don't know you know these people. Are these people your friend? Like, it's almost like you
Yeah.
take a child somewhere and it's just like it's like, well, who's this? What's that? Who's this? What's that?
Hmm.
But they're so excited.
Yes.
And after DreamCon, like he really has not left my side.
Hmm. Oh.
He sees me as his mentor. Like
Yeah.
any question he asks me, I'm like, it's either yes or no, or let me explain to you why I'm
Hmm.
about to tell you no, you know? And and he knows it's just like
Okay.
it happens. So so that's really like that's one of the reasons why I enjoy doing it, because I never mind. Like everybody has this big stake on
Mhm.
gatekeeping information when all of us are doing the same thing. We're all streaming. Sometimes we all play the same game. When you scroll down the following list and you see 27 people playing Apex,
Mhm.
which one of the 27 people are you going to watch first?
Mhm.
You know, open tabs for things like that. And it's really one of those moments to where I don't mind sharing my help of any way that I can. If I don't know, I'm gonna find somebody that do know and bring it back,
Yeah.
or find it myself. And that's what I enjoy doing the most for
Mhm.
my community, is
Mm.
just helping. I
Mhm.
have a thing to where if those that follow me and things like that, and they become engaged in the community, and I find out that like they're pushing for affiliate,
Yeah.
I do a streaming package for them. Like I edit the entire thing, so like their panels,
Ah.
emotes, and it's either I say you either pick, you could get the streaming package
Yeah.
or you could get the emo package. So either way, like you're going to be fully set one way or another.
Yes.
And
I know you're
I
saying
feel
emotes, but also I'm getting excited about like the emo package.
yeah, so like
Uh,
so they get everything. So like if they pick that, it's the sub badges, the
sure.
emotes, like even
Mhm.
if I have time like to do the flare and everything. So like I
Ooh.
enjoy just
Yeah.
just helping. So
Yeah.
because I remember when I started and it gets hard and it's like I don't know where to get all of this. Like I would tell people use the Bitmojis like as emotes. Send it to yourself, save it to you. I found every way around everything. Cause like especially not having like a strong laptop at the time. I did all my editing on my phone. So
All on your phone too?
hmm
Oh, bless you. But I love that like, you're
yes.
like, how do we, as you're moving towards these goals that I have, you're thinking not just like light support of like, hey, I'm offering you like, hey, go for it, keep it on, which encouragement is important. But you're like thinking,
Mhm.
how do I give you assets that you can use? How do I give you something that is going to be tangible or is going to improve what you're doing and take you to that next step? And that takes a lot of effort. How did you come up and say, you know what, I'm going to start creating this for people. I'm going to start giving these packages away because that's a big step to offer. That takes a lot of time and
Mhm.
consideration.
I do, and like, and I don't mind. When I was grinding for affiliate,
Hmm.
I saw how hard it was to get them 3 viewers. Like
Yeah.
that 3 average viewers hurt.
Hmm.
It was my mom at work, me on an iPad on my neighbor's Wi-Fi because they
Yeah.
didn't know how to lock it,
There
and
you
then me. So like, so just knowing I was like, I was like, this can really make or break somebody if they don't understand it
Yeah.
just enough to just get through with it.
Hmm.
And I didn't want nobody else that I come in contact with to go through that. So it's just like, once I got affiliate, I was like, okay, I don't know no emotes. Like at the time I was nervous. I'm like, but I'm funny. I don't know how to make this funny be a emote funny. Like I was just going through it. So I'm just like, didn't know like about Etsy or anything like that at the time.
Hmm.
So the Bitmojis from Snapchat, I just started sending those to myself and
Yeah.
saving it. So I was just using that because I was like, I know it got to be in PNG. So
Yep.
I was just using those and just even helping out with my friends. Like we were all climbing up,
Hmm.
and they were just like, "Oh, where you get the emotes from?" I'm like, "Bitmoji, it's free,"
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And that was like the biggest thing. It's just like it all you already designed it to look like you. This is something that they have. They
Hmm.
have the LOLs, GGs, whatever the case.
Hmm.
Use that.
Yep.
And I know with as things was going on, like time started getting harder for me. Jobs laying off, then COVID happened. So
Yeah.
a lot of times everybody was just like, well, I don't know what to do. Like I don't have the funds to do this and that. So I just found like free resources to do.
Hmm.
And just with helping my community now, like I always ask them like, what's your favorite colors? What you want it to look like? Or give me a simple animal like a dog, a cat, whatever the case. Like, what do you want to name yourself as? Like, I get intrigued with learning who wants to support me
Hmm.
so I can find ways to support them.
You do a
Um,
lot of that kind of transparency too, right? And that communication, like even just earlier, streaming as you work and kind of showcasing that where people can see you. What is that like to be like, here's everything I do? You try to take what's happening behind the scenes or the small
mhm.
little work, and you're bringing this to the forefront so people can see, like, here's the effort that goes into it. Here's how I can give you guidance, and you can see how I handle it and how you can do it. What happens in those spaces, right? Where people are like, hey, what's going on? How is this done?
It's weird because it comes off so naturally, and it's just like
Hmm.
I don't it I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the words. I'm getting excited about it.
I love it.
But
Be excited about it.
no,
Own
no.
it.
And it's just like I just wanted people to know like everybody always comments or compliments, my overlays or whatever I do. And it's just like, yo, this looks so good. Like who like how'd
Mhm.
you do this? Or like who did this so I could get in contact with them? And I'm like, oh, I did it.
Yeah.
And then it's like I see you stream, like
Mhm.
I see you constantly on video games,
Yep.
but I never see what you do. So
Mm.
I've always wanted people to just see like all things are capable if you put in that effort and you take that time
Mm.
to if you really want this done, you will make time to do so.
Yeah.
And
Oof. That's a
and
hard
that's
reality though. That's a
yeah,
hard statement. Putting in the time cuz
it
like
is.
you even know this so much. Time feels like the most limited resource. I mean money as well, but
Mhm.
time too on top of it.
Absolutely.
How do you juggle all that you do? How do you know what to prioritize with the limited time to make those things happen for you?
Um, I I'm really big on communicating a lot of the things that I do. So especially with my community, with my friends and everything, it's just I communicate what it is that I know that I want to do. I
Mhm.
know things that'll take some time, things that'll take a little bit more brain power than it normally would for me.
Mhm.
And I just work on that. When I do the stream packages and stuff for my community, I really think of it as okay, this is not for me, this is for somebody else. These are the things they like, going in their streams, asking, what's your favorite thing, what's your favorite food, just so I can have a glimpse of how I
Yeah.
would design anything,
Mhm.
just to see what kicks off. My biggest thing, my first question I'll ask is, what do you call your community? And a lot of people don't know that, so I'm like, and that's fine.
Mhm.
What's relatable to your name? So for me, she is Boogie. Several things are relatable to my name. I do like to dance. I like dance, party, anything.
Mhm.
I might not have no rhythm, but give me a few shots and I got you.
Sure.
But you know But so between dancing
Okay.
and Oogie Boogie is my favorite character from Nightmare Before Christmas, which is also my favorite movie.
Fair.
And then so it's the play on words of it. So I always ask, if it's related to the name,
Mm.
I'm going to try to find something that's quotable or like relatable to it. So I think of colors, I think of like whatever decoration. And that's where I take the time and I set it to the side. So like I have two journals at my desk.
Oh,
And
hold them
so
up. Show and tell. Come on.
this is one. So
Yeah.
this is journal one. This
Okay.
is where all my productivity stuff is. So like all my games that I'm gonna be playing for the month and
Oh.
everything of that nature. So all my co-working streams, the events that I'm doing, so like notes for meetings. So I have all of the journals right here to where I am like constantly asking. I keep it at my desk. So
Yeah.
somebody says something real quick. I'm like, okay, boom. Like, granted, everything's in Discord, so there's a conversation. But when I write it, it's
Yes.
more memorable for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then if I forget to look back, I have another copy of it.
But I
And
love
then
that. That's like an action journal too. Like it's a history of
Mhm.
saying, here's the purposefulness of making sure I'm moving forward. I've got this next thing. I need to make sure that I'm pushing things out because there's so much of like, well, I need to do this. I need to do that, but then we don't make time for it. Like I feel like by putting it into that journal, you're like, this is now set in stone. I can't erase it. This is something that's going on and I need to keep putting more things in there.
Yep.
Mm.
And that's just how I've always been. So I always tell everybody, keep a journal, whether you just need to vent real fast, you're streaming, scribble in a page. It's been a few times I've pulled out a black pen and I've just scribbled onto the side and they're just like, you're good. I'm just like, yeah, just stretching my arm, because you can't scream or you don't want to scream. So, like
It's fine.
I'm,
It's fine.
I'm like, everything's fine,
Mhm.
I'm the dog with the house on fire. This is fine. We're good. We're good.
All right. So what's journal
So,
2 then?
Journal 2
Yeah.
is anything that I do research of. So
Ooh.
I currently do have so like I said, I am a coach. So I
Mhm.
coach for sister shooters. So I always write
Woo-hoo.
down who's in there and anything of that nature. Whether what we practice on, what we talked about, what we need to do,
Mhm.
things of that. And then anything as far as like serious like content relation. So I took a Minecraft class. So I am now a certified Minecraft educator.
What? Okay,
And
that's awesome.
yeah, so like so I took that class and I was just taking notes and everything. And anytime to where if I have to be mobile and do stuff content wise,
Yeah.
I take this one just because it's a little bit more sturdier than my cloth one. This one just stays in my desk. And I just write down like everything that I need, any objectives or whatever the case. So I keep two journals at my desk just so I can maintain my mental because sometimes the baby girl be failing me because I forget.
No. That's a fair point because there's so much when we are juggling so many things, right? Like you're streaming, you're helping others out, you're coaching on top of it, you're pursuing your own, additional research, planning, marketing. You've got all of that up there, and taking it onto paper allows you to pull it out, organize it, and then reapproach it when you're ready to go back to it. And I
Mhm.
gotta say, the research journal is such a great choice because I think so many of times when we're in this space, we just keep barreling forward. Like, oh, I'll just keep making content. We'll keep making content. But taking the time to say, hold on, let's write this down. What's something else that we can learn? What are my notes that, and making sure that we have a reference point because when we listen to something once, it's not enough for us to take it in to apply it.
Yep.
So having a place for that information to be housed is such a key foundation to anchor yourself moving forward. It makes me think of rock climbing. I've not
Yep.
rock climbed, so small disclosure here. This is me guessing from what I've seen in movies. But when they're doing free climbs, right? As they go up, they do more anchors into it, so that way, if they fall, they only fall so far.
Yep.
You're creating nets for yourself, creating checkpoints essentially, and you're creating checkpoints in these journals, whether it's your activity or research journal. Be like, let's document and create a foothold of where we are to make it easy, and then it also makes it easier for people to follow in your footsteps because it wasn't just running forward so fast that you don't leave a mark of where you were.
Mm-hmm. And that's really like a big thing that I wanted to do as well. 2 years ago, I started recording like little random streamer tips on TikTok
Mm-hmm.
and just was showing people, oh, because around the time when Black History Month happened, and a lot of us as the BIPOC creators was getting hate rated. So I found out about the Mix It Up bot. I found out that there was a hate raid command to where if it does happen, it's all these steps that it do to help keep the stream safe. I found it. I made a TikTok about it.
Yeah.
And then that's when the umbrella opened up to where it's like, okay, well, can it do this? Can it do that? Can you show me this? Can you show me that? And me looking at it, I'm like, sure, like, I don't know how to do it yet, but give me 2 days. Like, give me 2 days, I got you.
Yeah.
So, you know, and just letting them know, like, I don't know it yet. You know, you just be open about it. Cause I feel like with social media now, a lot of people don't understand. Like, we're all still human, you know. Again, I said it earlier, we're all networking, but nobody's remembering that we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to create content, whether it's same, similar, or completely on the opposite side of the polar.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has some point to where we are on the same journey. We just haven't broke off yet. And that's one of the things to where, and that's why I think I'm so driven with that part, just finding little things to do and just like, oh, I think my community will like this. And sometimes my community will just ask me out the blue. I'll be playing Apex and they will ask me an Overwatch question. Okay, cool. I could be on Dead by Daylight and somebody's asking me about a stream 3 days ago when I did like a random clip, but I didn't have to push anything, you know? And it's like, oh, I did XYZ 1, 2, 3. I'll show you how to do this. I'll make the video of it, you know? And then it also helps me because then that's more content for me to make. So it's just
good cycle.
Like a revolving door of a good cycle.
Here we go. But you also, I want to pull on a thread that you had mentioned earlier of like, we're human. Because whether it's from the side of viewership that people see it on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, wherever it is that they find the content, that you are a person who's learning, who's trying, who's putting them out there. Or with other content creators, it's not just your stepping stone for me. It's seeing that humanity and how we're constantly all trying to grow together. And that's such an important concept that I think is often depleted, especially when so much of it is via screen. You know, it's something different when I'm like, yes, you're a person, but I'm holding you in my hand right now on my phone, right? Like normally I don't hold my friends in my hand. I hug them, but like there's a different level that comes through to see the humanity of someone when we only see a piece of them, when it's not real in front of us. It's this new form, and maybe it's just because we're old. Like I'm a millennial, right? Like my whole life has not always been digital, and it's learning. This might be a very different take for Gen Zers, though.
Yeah, it's weird because even as a millennial like myself, we watched Y2K was a thing. Okay, I don't care what nobody say. Y2K was a thing. We saw Bedrock turn into Cyberpunk 2044 really, really fast. And we didn't know what was going on. We were just like, oh, this is the internet. If you pick up the phone, we're going to hear that. You're going to hear that. To where now it's like, yeah, the phone doesn't bother the internet anymore. Like you're good to go. You can do everything at once. And with Gen Zers, it's handed to them. It is.
Yes.
Like, I am Alfred Pennyworth, like your dinner, like that's what
they
it
grow
is.
Up with the phone in their hand,
yes, you know, so they grow up with the phone in their hand and the tablets in their face. You know, they know how to operate tablets before knowing the shapes to put in the right holes. You know, and it is like they have to learn that growing up because that's what's out here now. Of course, us, like we still have some of our old things, so you know we still have like CDs and stuff like that. You know, we dig through a crate and it's like, oh my gosh, I remember this. And then the Gen Z is like, well, what is that? You know, some may not have been exposed to that, and then it's just like this is different because if you think, well, like a lot of us look at it as like, oh, when I was your age, we gotta stop that. When our parents was our age, the world was 50 cents. Okay, you go outside for free, and we were fine.
Gas was under $1. You know,
it was $1. You know, drive-in movie theaters. You go outside now, you're automatically paying $100. You didn't go in no mall. You didn't go in no store. It's just as soon as you leave your house and you lock, bow, $100 is gone. You know, it's almost like the movie In Time with Justin Timberlake, where it's like everybody paid in time. Like,
Yes.
give me your
Yes.
rest. Like
Hmm.
that's pretty much
We've paid
what I
in time,
feel like
that's for
now.
sure.
Like,
But you're right. Like it's such an exponential difference, right?
mhm,
The difference in how much technology has gone through in our first 10 years of growing up is nothing compared to like what we saw in the subsequent 5 years or 2 years, and even this past year, how much technology continues to grow and what's available to us. It is insane of how quickly it's developing, and at the same time, right? Like because there's this balance. Right, you're here,
mhm.
especially as somebody who does a lot to help educate others in the space and are constantly looking for resources. You probably see this a lot. That there's a big disconnect of yes, there's all this technology available to us to create all these cool things, but there's a very small population who knows how to utilize that technology to the fullest extent. Like we know Instagram story, like I just realized you can do a lot more with Instagram stories and the editing feature. That's been available for years, but I had no clue that that was even
Oh
an
yeah.
option. I thought people were designing those elsewhere and then importing them in. And I got to hover over a friend's shoulder this weekend. I was like, "You can do that in there?" He's like, "Yes." Right? Like it I'm one of those. Like if you ever
Yeah.
go back in time, like you have
Mhm.
electricity, how does that work? And be like, I don't know. I have no idea how electricity works.
I don't know.
I wouldn't be able to make
I
it.
feel like I know in my history book in high school, somebody said something about it. Like
Yeah. The
that's the best.
lightning, it comes down, we harvest it. I don't know. I know that's not the
Nah.
case now. But
Yeah.
right, like there's a difference of like I know this technology exists. I depend on it, but I would not know how to create it on my own. I wouldn't know how to advance it. Like even some of the wiring, there might be better options for it. So individuals like you, like when you come in, you're like, hey, here are free resources that are available. Hey, when we talk about the technology on Twitch, like here's how you can handle hate raids. Like there's a lot of resources that depending on where you are, you may not be able to access that pocket of content. So you
Hmm.
do a lot to help bring that to the forefront.
Yes, because my biggest thing is I just want everybody safe. You know,
Mm.
growing up, everybody's like, "Oh, be safe on the internet." You
Yep.
know, a lot of us we would spam the end button on the phone if we accidentally press that internet button. I think that's why I'm so good at video games now. Like
Yeah.
that, smashing that button, you couldn't take that battery out quick enough. It was all thumb action. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and a lot of us, we think we're safe, and then sometimes it's like something slips up or
Mm.
something slips, just in the space where you don't want it to be. And whomever
Mm.
I interact with, I just want them to understand that safety net. Like
Mm.
if as long as I know and we communicate in some way,
Yeah.
then you'll know. Because if I'm doing this to stay safe, I want everybody that I know to stay safe as well. So
Okay.
that's really my biggest thing. That's just like when I go out with my friends, like when I go out to conventions, I am the main one that is constantly being asked, like, Boogie, you're good, you're good, you're good. And I'm just like, yes. I
Yeah.
don't have to ask anybody because everybody's let me know. They've shared their locations with me. I shared mine with
Mm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I let my mom know. I learned them like, hey, I'm safe. I landed. I'm checked in, we're all set. And a lot of people don't understand that safety net of it. And I'll
Yeah.
never forget, I met a friend and we were hanging out and we were both Ubering home from the club. And I was just like, okay, let me know when you get home. And she was like, what?
You're
And
not
I
my
was like,
mom.
and yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, I'm good. I'm like, no, just let me know. I was like, please and thanks. Just let
Hmm.
me know. So when we were texting each other, she was taken back. She was like, none of my friends ever asked me that. And just being a woman in general, like somebody has to know something.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people joke, and it's like when women go out, like if we get inebriated, we make friends in the bathroom. That is 100% true.
Yeah. Women's bathrooms are one of the biggest hype places that you can find. Yeah.
2 hours in, I'm telling you, if you,
Yep.
you could have got dumped
Yep.
that night, go in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. You're going to find
Don't nobody.
a whole party ready to celebrate you, tell you how beautiful you are, that you're smart. You're going to be on it. This is the new best chapter of your life.
Best chapter of your life. You don't need him.
Yes.
Like they
Yeah.
they telling you like they've known him since you've known him.
Yes. Yes.
And that's that safety net that I want to recreate
Mm.
for those that I come in contact with.
Yeah.
I try to do what I can when like looking at my community streams and just hanging out with friends and things of that nature. And just watching them have fun is enough for me to just be like, okay, they're good.
Mm-hmm.
And even if there's something that I don't see, they may bring it up, or it's just like, Boogie, how do you do this? Or how do you do that? Can I talk to you for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Having those like vulnerable moments of just, I don't know how you dealt with this, but I had a similar situation, and just going from there. So safety is a big thing for
Yeah.
me. And especially in this space with how the world is turning,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, let's
we
let's
all need to be safe.
let's call that out a little bit because you're right. Safety is such an important issue. The challenge was, and this is a bit of a difficult question, is identifying what does safety look like? And if it means we have safety, that also means we have to define what are the dangers. Because that's hard. If I'm going
Mhm.
to a con for the first time, I remember the first time I did go to a con, I did not know what might be dangerous things. I haven't been around like
Yeah.
I hadn't been to like a bar in a long time, right? A big social networking event. What are red flags? What are things that I need to be aware of? Because if you aren't aware of the dangers, you don't know that you're not safe, and you don't know to take actions that would be good for your safety. That's
Mhm.
hard to determine. So I know there's like a big, massive take that we could do of it, but you had mentioned like live events or going to conventions. For you, what are indications of danger and safety? Like you had mentioned, like,
It,
hey, let me know when you get home. Like that's a good one.
So, like for me, it's that random feeling of like I want to say like being insecure, but it's a random feeling of you're not in a comfort zone that you would be in. So it's like if you see a group of guys sounding loud and looking sloppy and drunk and everything, and you're a gorgeous woman, you hear that first cat call, bless you, I saw you sneeze.
Thank you. Thank you. Shh.
And you hear like that first cat call, and it's not gonna go good. Like that's one of the moments where it's like, all right, I need to get around somebody.
Mhm.
It's now your head is on a swivel and you're trying to find the first safe thing to you.
Mhm.
That's a big one right there. And
That just made me think I was at a con and I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. I had to find the right person that I felt comfortable leaving my drink with while I went to the
yep.
bathroom.
And it's like
Hmm.
I don't want to take this in here, but
Yeah.
who can hold it? Like
Right. Yeah. Do I just
it's
plan to
like
never pee while I'm at this event? Right. Like
yeah,
just
it's
so that
like
way I
it's like
don't put
do I
my drink
break the
down?
seal? Like do
Yes.
I
Yes.
is it napkin on like napkin on top, hand on bottom, and you
Hmm.
just shimmy your pants? Like I
Yeah.
like what's the way to do this?
Not
But
all bathrooms have a place where you can set your drink either. So you're like, I have to
at all.
I have to find someone or I leave it in danger or I have to only take bathroom breaks when I'm in between drinks. Uh
It was like one I think like one day I went out and I had that moment. I was like, I
Mhm.
don't feel safe. And I was like, but I gotta pee. I just chugged the drink so I could pee.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was I was like, can I get through this?
Mhm.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chug and just took it out.
Hmm.
But
Well, and you had mentioned
just
like even when people cat call you, but there are other behaviors beyond just like the explicit cat call that can
oh yeah,
make you
at live
uncomfortable.
events, it's when quick quick lore. Just
Yeah.
because I have to explain it. So I cosplay as Mirko. The for those who don't know, that's the bunny from My Hero Academia,
Hmm.
and I am very conservative. I was like, this is gonna be a lot of leg showing.
Hmm.
So like I had the undergarments to cover me, souped up like a pinup doll,
Yep.
and I had on tights. I was like,
Hmm.
no, like I'm good.
Yeah.
No free cheekage or anything like that. Good to go.
Yeah.
So we're at the end of the con. This was at MomoCon, like just a few months ago.
Hmm.
And hanging out with my friends, we were getting them last minute photos, last minute exhibit hall looks. And one guy came from the abyss. Now, when I say abyss, I don't know where he came from.
Hmm.
I have a thing to where if I know me and my friends are about to stop somewhere, I have to do a full 360. I need to know who's around me in the
Yeah.
moment, who I may see, just like, oh, if I know that person over there, they might see me, they might come this way. So I'm prepared
Hmm.
for somebody to come this side.
Hmm.
If to kind of just like I want to say I have a UAV radius of 50 meters. Like
All right,
I'm,
Apexer.
I have to patrol. I'm like,
Got the radar
okay,
going
cool.
off.
Radar's up. All right, I could stand here for a bit, and
Who
I
are
look
your
up.
allies? Who are potential
Yeah,
threats
I'm
coming
like,
in?
okay. I'm like, all right, got it. So this guy, he comes from the backstage area of the video game exhibits, and he just like beeline straight for me. He almost ran into somebody, and like I'm seeing all this in my peripheral. I'm like, I hope he sees somebody behind me. So now I've already known like he's super excited to see me. I'm like, maybe he follows me, maybe he doesn't, maybe he likes to cosplay. But in my mind, I was like, that's not an option because it's 17,000 other bunnies that's out here that looks just same as me. So it can't be, oh my God, I love your cosplay. Too many of us are wearing the same one. If you like how I look in it, just say that. I'd rather you say that than just it's like 12 bunnies. And it's like, I love yours.
Why?
I said, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Versus like you can say that to everyone like in this space. Like yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, y'all are so beautiful. And then that is like, oh, thanks. So then that's when we let our guard down.
Yeah.
But no, so like he beeline straight to me and he's like, oh my gosh, I think you're so beautiful. Can I get a picture with you? And I was like, sure. So I did like one of her poses.
Yep.
And then he was just like, can I get another one? And I was just like, okay. I did my best for the first one. Maybe he didn't like it. I understand,
Yeah.
The one that's taking the selfie must look good as well in it. And then that second photo, I felt the hand slide. And you can see the motion in the picture of me like snatching my waist. So like it went from friendly to church hug really, really fast. So it's like booty out, arms up, there you go. And I was like, I feel it. So now he's holding, like trying to hold conversations because now we're standing here, we're talking to some other of my friends.
Yeah.
And he's just like asking, he's like, are you going to another panel? I was like, well, no, there's an after party we're all going to since we bought VIP tickets. So he's like, oh, I didn't know about that one. Which one are you going to? Not which one will y'all be at? Once he's like pointed me out, I was like, yeah, no, I gotta watch you.
Yeah.
So I literally text all my friends in a group chat. So when I go out, I pin all of my friends that's out in the same state as me. So like my mom is always a pinned conversation. I start a group chat with those that I know want to hang out with me, the group chat of the people of the Airbnb I'm staying with, and then the singular individuals. All of them got a red alarm alert out of me. It was just like,
hello, someone come help.
like, red light, light, send, red light, send. Yeah. And I heard one of my friends, I don't know how I heard him turn around, but I heard him. He's just like, Boogie. I'm like, yeah. And I just ran to him.
Go. Actually, that's such a smart idea to always have someone there. Or even if it's not there, like I've had Mudcat be like, if I type the number 2, I need you to call. Just whatever. That's it. I type 2, you call. Make it sound like it's an important call that I need to go on. And it's okay. Or have somebody there at the con be like, if you see me type in a red flag in that Discord, just come say hi to me. Just come pull me away from wherever I am. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that's it. And I always let people on social media know too. I'm like, if you see me, say hi, because you never know who you run into. It's been plenty of times I have made random girlfriends in a group just because I see a guy being a creep. And it's just like, oh my gosh, hey y'all. And we are so good. We just play along with it. We go for hugs. We're like, yo, you want to go get something to eat? And like, once we get to the safe spot, I was like, yo, thank you so much. Because it was a dude like behind me. And they were like, no, we saw him because we were coming to you. So it's really just like the connection that a lot of women have and just trying to be safe. And because everybody's traveling everywhere. So you don't know who's in the state that you're traveling to. You don't know how people are, if they're socially awkward. They don't know how to express themselves like comfortably and peacefully.
Yes. Yes.
So it's always being mindful of that. I have a code phrase that I give to my friends. And my phrase is, man, I wish I could sound like Samuel L. Jackson. It's a sentence that makes no sense. And it's just like, they're like, you okay? I said it in stream one day. All of my mods are the biggest lurkers in America. All of them lurk, okay?
Yeah.
They might pop up, make a clip, pop up, say, hey, let me know
Yeah.
that they're there.
Yeah.
But if I don't see nobody and I'm like, I don't know who's in here, but they're being weird. And I'll never forget, I said it, I was like, man, one day I just want to sound like Samuel L. Jackson.
And they're like,
Every
ding.
single mom was like, what?
Tuning
What are
in.
you talking about?
Tuning in.
It's like, huh? Oh, you can hear the Law and Order bell, dun dun. Like, what you say? They're like,
yes.
you all right? One of them texted me. They was like, do you know what you just said? I was like, okay, great. Now that you're here, help me. Like,
yeah.
So I made that their phrase. That's so smart. Now when they hear it, they're like, if I ever hear that again, they're gone. Like, there's no coming back.
But it's smart to set up like those comms, those signals. And I think also like on the flip side for individuals, listen and read signals and be careful of what you're asking for people. Like even at cons, like ask, is it all right if I put my hand around you? Is it all right? Like, can I come in for a hug? Right. Sort of thing. Giving people the opportunity to say yes or no in their space, which is so important for whoever they are to respect their autonomy and their comfort level.
Yes, because it's like I notice now a lot of us as cosplayers, male and female, like 2 days or a day before the convention, or like the day 0 of the convention, so the day before it actually starts.
Yeah,
all of us will send out a tweet of just like, this is how you can approach me, you know. Like if I have open arms, like it's like a multiple choice question. Like if I have open arms, what does this mean? Choose two, you know, like so it's like, yes, if you see me, say hi. Like if you see me, give me your social media handle. You know, a lot of people just like, oh my gosh, Bug. And I'm like, you can't call me Bug. I don't know who you are. But I was like, but you know me, but Boogie. Like, you know, so I was just like, say the whole thing. And, you know, we give like these like rules to us because a lot of people don't know. You know, like we all are excited to see one another. At some point, all of us looked up to people that we now call friends. And like we all grow together. So it's like when we all first met, it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this. I can't wait for that. And you build that connection over time. And it's almost as if it's a given. So, you know, when my first time at DreamCon last year, I've met so many people and everyone was just like, oh my gosh, it's Boogie. And immediately like I'm getting snatched for hugs. And as an extrovert, I love it, you know. Beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah.
Like I need this.
Take it.
And if you need it, you want it, take it. Wow, you got it. It's yours. And it was just such a great feeling to have that wall down temporarily for meeting somebody who's just like, you have played games with them, you have built a mutual like relationship with them. And then when you have people that look up to you, it's now like a revolving door. It's another cycle starting. But sometimes people forget boundaries are in place still. Like, yes, you see me on stream. Yes, you might have seen me cry because I won an award or cry because I'm sad about something, you know. I understand that, but that is not the green light to be like
anything and everything.
The waistline is looking nice, you know. Like this is not that green light.
Yeah.
You know,
that the green flag is, and it doesn't slow things down. It's just trying to be considerate. You can be so excited to see someone, you be like, oh, I'm thrilled to see you. I like to do sometimes the goblin run, where I do that when I see people I like. I do that. I'm like, are you okay with a hug? Can I hug you right now? It can be quick, but it's such a good and important check because you don't know what people are going to. And sometimes it's not personal, right? They might be, as an introvert and somebody who had high anxiety this weekend, I was like, there were times where I'm like, I just need to be very quiet. I will come say hi to you in a bit, but I'm going to go sit in this corner for a hot minute, you know?
It's like, I love you guys, but just,
yes.
Uno momento, please.
Un momento. Take care of your poor introverted friends who are probably overwhelmed at the live events, right? Yeah. Or even like some people are okay with like the side hug, but like if you're touching someone, especially if it's someone you don't know, like a cosplayer that you want to have a picture with, hey, is it okay if I put my hand on your back for this? Is it okay if we do this pose, right? Like asking that permission ahead of time tells them. Or if you need another picture, like, hey, I turned out really weird and blurry in this one. Can we take it? So that way you have the information to decide, oh yeah, I'm comfortable with this.
Right. Like a lot of the cosplays I do, my my poses are always non-contact. So, for
Ah.
example, like when I did
Mm-hmm.
power line is was pretty much just like a simple little point
Yes.
and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Bow. I don't have to hug nobody. I don't have to put an arm on nobody. If I want to
Smart.
do the dance, I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
lock arms with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Free form, just to myself. So
Wow.
I always try to think of that as well as a cosplayer. It's like, what can I do to where I don't have to really interact with another body?
Mm-hmm.
So, just a few more examples. So, I did Powerline,
Mm-hmm.
All Might, Sailor Moon,
Dang.
Loba.
Mm-hmm.
Those four, I don't have to hug a soul when I take a photo with them. All right.
Yeah.
Like we all know, sometimes at these conventions, these people, it's a little taint.
Yeah.
I'm be nice, but it's really just it's a way to where I'm like, okay, if I do a pose, I can be near you. I don't have to be in contact with you.
Mm-hmm.
So when COVID was kind of releasing up, that was another thing. All my was my big thing. His pose, hands on the hip. What's also sticking out? My elbows.
Yeah.
I won the defensive MPV for
Mm.
basketball in middle and high school. Okay. These elbows are sharp. So that means I know when to box people out. So I'm a swing and that's that. So with the poses, it's just, it works as my boundaries. Like, this is what I want. You can stand in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
you can stand behind me, but side me, you can't get past these elbows.
Yes.
Can't get past these chicken wings nowhere.
I love it. I love it. But that's such a smart approach to create a space that's safe for you, especially when, as a cosplayer, you do tend to interact with a lot more strangers coming up to you, talking to you, getting close to you. And it's hard because cons are loud, so they have to get closer so you can hear.
Mhm.
That's part of it sometimes, but creating things that are safe for you are such an important idea. Oh, that's clever. Practicing your
Absolutely.
poses. Here's what we need to be.
Yes, this is like, oh, this pose works. This
Yeah.
is like, okay, if I see another one, I don't mind
Hmm.
doing this. But if somebody's just asking me, then it's just bow.
Hmm. Yes.
So,
Yeah. And Cookie Mon Steve
mhm,
actually points out a good point. Like sometimes it's not just, again, it's not just you, right? Like, or an individual. Like it's read the
mhm.
room. Sometimes if there are a lot of people around, it starts a practice that everyone thinks that they have to kind of follow through, or it opens up to that same kind of like, oh, if you give one person a hug, you need to give everyone a hug. Or
I don't.
yeah, yeah, right. It's a process, and it's trying to think, how can I make people feel comfortable? Because at the end of the day, when we go to cons, we all want good experiences. We want to meet up with the people that we're excited to meet. We want to meet new people that we can build and grow alongside and have fun relationships with. But it starts with being in a space that you feel comfortable doing so.
Exactly. I will say cons now have
Mhm.
catered to my introverted friends. They have like a wind down zone to
Yeah.
where it's dark, quiet. Don't come in here loud. Don't come in here rambunctious. It was one day I needed that. And I was like, yo, this is a lot more people that know me. I was like, I need 10 minutes. And I think this was the first time my friends saw me kind of like about to have an anxiety attack. And they were just like, are you okay? I was like,
Mhm.
I'm ready to snatch this wig off. They was like, okay, all right, let's
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
wait. Where you need to go? Do you need
Yeah.
to go to the bathroom? Do you need to pee? Have
Mm-hmm.
you drank? Did you eat?
Yep.
Because again, it was more like when you see it online and you read your numbers and it's like, yo, like this is the insight is great.
Yeah.
Once you see the numbers in person, it's like, whoa, this is
It's a lot.
right. And it's like, oh my gosh, like the meet and greets that I
Mm.
have is nuts because out here in DC,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a lot of streamer events or like esports events or anything out here. So I decided to host like I call it DMV streamer meetups to
Mm-hmm.
where gamer cosplayer or you want to meet somebody that's out here that you
Yeah.
didn't know, just let's go to a bar, let's hang out, take photos,
Mm-hmm.
got one to network, bring your business cards, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
But I started doing those events out here.
Mm.
My first one I did in the springtime had 20 friends. The next one I had 75 people there.
Whoa.
And it was just like everybody hearing about it on Twitter and then like, oh, I missed this one. Like, let's do this one. The one that I did where it's 75 people, I put it on Eventbrite. So that way it's just like I could keep track of who does what. Like,
Yeah.
okay, this I'm expecting if it's 100 tickets here, I'm expecting to see at least 30 people because sometimes people forget or the days go on. I
Yep.
listen, if
You'll
I
always
I
sell more
low
tickets than
ball,
attendees.
I low ball so I don't get myself upset if it don't go right. So
Mhm.
that's just me. That's how I stay humble in a lot of things.
Right.
And to see everybody that came, it's like, you're Boogie. And I'm like, yes. And I'm just like, hello, I had like the name tags, like my
Mhm.
friends helped out. She came from all the way from Virginia
Mhm.
to like the deep part of Maryland and helped me give out name tags. So when people would come in, it's like, okay, nobody else has name tag but you. Hey, I'm so and so. Are you here for Boogie's thing? Yeah, I know Boogie. And
Mhm.
also try to be clever. I have a glow in the dark Oogie Boogie cardigan. Let me get it because it's so cool.
Show and tell. Show and tell right now.
Yes. So like,
This is good because we're coming closer to Halloween.
and yes, I'm prepared for it too.
Good.
So
Good.
I have like an actual like Oogie Boogie hooded cardigan, and the hood has his face on it,
Of course. Of course.
and it's
Classic.
like the cone head. So I said, what other way for people to ask me if I'm Boogie if I'm not wearing Oogie Boogie?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just by doing little things like that, it
Mhm.
lessens the blow of the awkwardness of
Mhm.
is this who I think it is? I may
Yes.
not know because I know coming into a space where you don't know nobody is
Mhm.
different. That's why all my places have been at bars and like arcade
Yep.
theme. So
Mhm.
that way it's like you can get a drink, you get food, you can do stuff. You don't have to just linger one spot.
Yes.
And it was to the point when I was at the bar, I was
Mhm.
trying to figure out who was going to be the bartender for the night.
Mhm.
One girl, she didn't help me at all. The manager ended up helping me. And that was like my first time there.
Mhm.
And I told him, I was just like, hey, just want to talk to you. Like, I'm a content creator out here in the DMV area, and I'm hosting a meetup here. And I was just wondering if I could have you as the bartender for the night or anything, if there's something you need me to do. And he was just like, he was like, how do I know that they're with you? I said, they'll have a name tag.
Yeah.
He said, okay, cool. So he ended up giving everybody like 10% off the drinks, which was fine because the drinks were already like $8.
Yeah, that's a
And
great
it
deal.
was like, and it was like video game themed drinks, like
Aw.
Koopa Troopa, like Donkey, like it was everything there. It was like Mario Kart Jello shots. I said, yes,
Oh gosh, Jello shots.
give, give me, so
Yeah. Yeah.
so always thought of things like that. And even when like me over here and him say like, oh, she's a content creator, like she's bringing in all these people here, like how, and he's like, why didn't you help her? So then now she comes down and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, yada yada. I'm like, it's fine. So
Yeah.
she's like, can I help you with anything? I said no. And
Mhm.
I was like, I'm good. And
Mhm.
just having those events and then going out into the world and then everybody excited to see what's happening now. And or like if any ideas, it's always just like I really am doing this and
Mhm.
seeing the people. It's like it's so great to see.
Yeah.
And a lot of people really don't see if like I get like overwhelmed or I start having like just a little bit of like an overwhelming like panic. And it's like
Mhm.
I just need some time down to myself. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't express or explain a lot.
Mm.
Like like you said earlier, check on your introverted friends. I'm so big on that because I don't know how it happens. I have so many introverted friends and like they love me to death and I love them to death. When they
Mhm.
go to conventions, I'm like, hey, I'll give y'all an hour. They're like, okay, cool, because they know so many people are going to be walking up to me.
Yes.
Like one of my friends is my bodyguard when we go out. He's
Mhm.
either my bodyguard or my pretend boyfriend, whichever one. And it's so funny because like I said, all my introverted friends,
Mhm.
they're like, you just know so many people. And I'm like, that's why I say I was like, if y'all have an hour,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that,
Mhm.
you know. And a lot of people don't see it from an extroverted perspective. And
Sure.
it's like, okay, like, I drink my water, I have
Mhm.
my good time.
Yeah.
And then once a lot of people just start coming up, I'm like, I just want 20 minutes of silence.
Yes. Well, and that's so
And,
important in all of this. Like take your breaks at the end of the day.
mhm,
Like when I hear all of this, there's a lot going on at cons. And I think both of us agree conventions are amazing. It's one of the most rewarding experiences when you get to meet people face to face. It is a mecca of celebration, of nerddom, but it makes it a better situation if you go in prepared and you have people there, whether they're physically there or digital support to help make sure that you can get the most out of it, that you set the boundaries and what's going to be good for you and what's going to be good for what you want to get out of it.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Like I said, that's always been me, especially like I solo travel when I go to these cons.
Yeah.
So I don't have a person like with me at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
I have my mom up until she drops me off. And it's just like, and she, when like me and her, we'll both pray like on the way there. Like when we get close to the airport, we'll have a moment of silence,
Mm-hmm.
say our prayers,
Sure.
for safe travels there and back. And then that's that. Then like we'll talk. I'll make sure like she's good before I leave. She makes sure I have everything. I'm like, don't worry about me. I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
But your mom's always gonna be your mom.
There
But
you go.
that's like that's like one of
Yeah.
my big things is I'm always making sure like then that's again back to safety. I always make sure whoever comes in contact with me is safe before I do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's such a nice thing. You want to be pillars of safe spaces to make sure people can have fun. It's like a prerequisite. It's hard to really enjoy things if you're like, I don't know if I'm going to be safe. Am I going to enjoy this? Are people going to push my boundaries? So having somebody like you, I know wonderful, kind people who are also like, know your safe people, know people who are going to continue to look out for you. Now, Boogie, we're deep in this conversation, but I want us to take a breather right now. So we're gonna take a 5-minute break because we have been on a roll having some very important conversations. So we're gonna grab some water. Everyone stretch and stand up a little bit, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, good friends. Hello, hello, and welcome back, good friends. We are here at Pink Pixels over on the Gamers channel. I'm CausticPhoenix. This is SheIsBoogie. Helps if I can get my own name right. It's fine. Minor details.
It was the collab name. I was
Yeah,
liking it.
yeah. I was just gonna put it all together. CausticBoogie here, hanging out with y'all today. It's the best combination you all could have asked for. Boogie, as we are entering part 2 of this, we've been having such a good conversation, but I want to switch gears because you do a lot. Like, we've done a lot about talking about you at conventions, a little bit of the cosplay, and of course, as a content creator, but you go beyond that as well. You are a coach, you are a COO of Sister Shooters. That is an amazing space. Tell us, what is it like to be a coach first? Let's dive into that. What is a good coach to you?
So being a coach it's been so fruitful because again, purposefully on accident. This is another thing. Playing Apex, a lot of my community would ask me questions, like how do you play rank? How do you play comp? And I was just starting to transition to being a competitive player. And I did a random community channel point challenge. I'm like, if we get 100K within 15 days, I will make an entire book, like a booklet pamphlet of how to get good at Apex. And
Okay.
it was all jokes. Like the first 3 pages was like, get good, kid. And then it was just like, okay, so now that we made it this far, let me explain to you what it is. And it was, I took time to make it and shared it to my community just in Discord. And they were just like, yo, I love this. They were like, yo, the pictures and everything. And they used it to like get better in Apex.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, I see what's going on here. And again, it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. So like people started sending the book. They were just like coming to the stream. They're like, yo, I read it like as a joke, but this is really good. I'm like,
well, thanks.
Thanks. Who are you? Like, who told you this? Like,
yeah. What an interesting statement that is.
I'm like, ha ha ha. So it was just in that moment where I started competing, and I started casting the POV that I had. So like if we die first, we have to spectate who killed us and so forth and so on. And I didn't want my stream to just watch other people. Like in my head, I'm like, you need to be watching me fight. But it's unfortunate if I go down. So let's make it fun. And this was around Halloween, and I was known after that as Octopus Boogie because I didn't have a Halloween costume on, so I just had like my plush octopus, and I just sat it on my head while I was casting. I was like, I'm Ursula today, so it was just like one of the moments. And as like the group that was running the tournament, they were just like, yo, who was the chick with the octopus on her head? Like, she hyped me up and I was dead too. And it was just one of the moments where it was just like everybody was acknowledging, like, I knew what I was talking about. I understood, how people play the game.
Right.
And I took that and ran with it. So it was like, well, let me see, like, if I actually know what I'm doing.
But that validation is important. I want to call that out, not skip over that, because it's so important when we're in spaces to tell people when we think they're good, because we're not very good at recognizing it in ourselves at all, right? Like if you had already known that you're good, you would have already been positioning yourself. But to hear others go like, who was this octopus wearing individual, which is an interesting way to frame. That's not a common question, right? but you stood out to say like, hey, they know what they're talking about here. That was really well done. I would like to hear them cast for me again. And that puts into the thinking of like, I think I do actually know what I'm talking about. But it's strange, but that's such an important catalyst, and people don't realize how they can be that catalyst for other people. Like how they can help support like the next boogie that's out there, sort of thing.
Absolutely. So it just always was just enjoying it. And just me being a caster, meaning I had to study the game. I had to understand like why do people play like this, or understanding both sides of the coins. We know what this person played like this. We also know what this person played like this. The probable cause of what may happen is where it's like, this is the guessing part.
Yeah.
And it's no right or wrong answers when it comes to that moment. So just looking at my community, just like, oh my gosh, Boogie, like Like, you better go off. Like, Mochavelli, I call her my tournament guru because anytime I'm in something competitive,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if I don't see her in my streams for like 3 days straight. That fourth day I got a tournament,
Yeah.
she first, she
Yep.
let you know, like, hey, I'm on my way home. Don't even worry about it. She letting other people know, like, Boogie competing today. Where y'all at? Like, I can't be there. I need y'all there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always so exciting because she was one of the ones that pointed that out
Yeah.
as well when it came to me casting. And
Okay.
I remember following her on TikTok. And
Mm-hmm.
this one, it was just like, I was really big on finding female gamers. I was like, I didn't want my insights to say 65% men and 35% women. I wanted the opposite way.
Right.
So I was really just like on the hunt of like,
Mm-hmm.
who's a woman play video games? I don't care if you play League of Legends. I don't care if you play Pac-Man on the retro game that you got at Target on the clearance sale.
Sure.
If you play a game, I want to be friends, social media friends, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Let's connect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started doing like all female competitive games tournaments in Apex. And I never forget, I tweeted, I said, I want to say, let's just say October
Mm-hmm.
of 2021. I had hosted my breast cancer charity awareness tournament. And I said after that, I was like, I'm going to be a coach one day. I was like, y'all going to see it. Like next year, somebody signed me as a coach. And that February rolled around, and I'll never forget Marisha sending me a Twitter DM, just like, hey, I'm interested in you being a coach. And I was just like, huh? So I thought it was just, I was like, what are you talking about? And
hold on. You to have this pause reaction, like you're thinking like, I want to do this, and then someone reaches out and you're like, but hold on here.
Yeah, I'm like, what? But it was like, so like, it was like months later. So I'm just
Okay.
like, okay, cool. And then I'm like, what you mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
And as professional as she is, send me the email, send me my contract, told me like what she expects from me, what needs to be done.
Right.
And I'm looking over and I'm like, yo, she really is like, she's really serious with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, as a woman of color, helping other women of color, I was like, this is like 3 things that I do just put into one. Sign me up. I was like, yep.
Sure. Like, it combines everything that you want to do. And it helps invest in the future that you want to help create, especially in a position as a coach. Okay, so what were the start of being a coach? Coach Boogie is now in place. You've got your whistle, you got your clipboard, you're meeting your team for the first time. Or are you setting down the rules? How do we approach Coach Boogie?
Coach Boogie it all depends on who you are as an individual. Like out the gate, I already knew some of the ladies just being in the space, and nobody really knew that I was going for a coach position, but they knew I played Apex heavily.
Yes.
And that introduction, it was so warming because it was just like, oh my God, it's Boogie. Like, I played Apex with Boogie. I watched Boogie stream, I've seen her clips. I know what she could do. Yeah. I trust her.
Yeah. Builds your credibility a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. So there was no issue. The issue at the time was me making the time, because now this is something new that I have to do. So it was work life was there, then content creating, and then still doing what I needed to do. And that's when it was just like, I was like, okay, I gotta figure this out. So I started doing research, like on days where I felt like I was just laying in the bed watching TV. I'm like, background noise, journal. Yeah. And that's why I was just like, okay, let me see what I could do here. I started, and that's when I started doing VOD reviews, seeing like how they played and stuff like that. And then when the next day came, I was like, okay, let me tell you what I noticed, and worked from there. And then it just happened. And then that same year, that's when the Game Hers came out with the Game Hers Awards.
Yep.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, guys, nominate me for whatever. So it was everything in esports and then cosplaying. And I was just like, I said, I don't know about a few of these. So a few I had rejected because I was like, I don't think I'm in that space yet,
Sure.
And because one of them was Shoutcaster, and I was like, I'm not quite there yet. The women that was in there, I've seen them, I've watched them. I'm like, I don't belong there yet. I was like, they're gonna be like, who is this? And I'm just like, I just do it for the funsies, please.
Fair enough.
But
Fair enough.
but like as I saw I was coach, I was like, this is something that works because it wasn't just also video
Mhm.
games, it was everything else that I've been doing.
Right.
So I'm like, as a coach or a mentor, I'm like,
How
yeah, let's
you're
push for this.
you're elevating things. And it's good to be
Hmm.
recognized of like it aligns with the next steps that you've been taking in your career at this point. Now, I mean, as we know, right? Coach of the year, big celebrations, huge props. What do you think is something that being a coach is often maybe overlooked? But you're like, this is an important part of being a coach. Like when it comes down to it, you're like, this is so important to do to be a good coach to my competitors.
What's overlooked is the empathy of a coach.
Ooh.
And I say that in the sense of everybody is not acceptable of the same coach style.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, you might have to say a couple things, some things a couple of times for them to get it.
Sure.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Versus the other person, you say it one time, they get it, cool. And some people need that motherly talking. Some people just need you to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So just being empathetic to who you're coaching and like who is this person that is spending their money to spend 3 hours with me telling them how to play a video game? Like, what is it? Like, how can I connect to you
Mm.
and still be able for you to understand everything that I'm trying to get you to understand?
Yes.
Like some of my friends, we laugh because if we're playing Apex together, there's one of my friends that like I'm like a drill sergeant. I'm Colonel Sergeant B Oogie. Like I'm like, dude, like lock in. And then there's my other friend. I'm
Sure.
like, yo, ping twice. It's 2 teams over there. All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's again polar opposites,
Yes.
but both of them understand exactly where I'm coming from.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Like my best friend, he noticed this a long time ago, and I still think it's funny to this day. I don't ping when I leave. And I know that's crazy as a coach, but
Really?
when we're playing together, I don't. I loot and I just start rotating. And he's like, let me just look at this map. He's like, Buggy. I'm like, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm practicing. And it's just one of the moments where it's like, the person you're playing with, like the little things. And like one of the things was if I get super silent, I'm like a kid. If I get silent, I'm far. Like, Boogie, where are you? Huh?
Mhm.
I look at the map, I'm like, where y'all at? Like,
You
so
push it back on them at that point. But
yeah,
it's
and I'm just
so
like,
you really have to have a lot of flexibility. Like there's your style and how you handle things. Like there's a certain
mhm,
balance of like, here's who Boogie is as a coach. And then there's also those moments where you're like, it's the to make this successful, it's also knowing here who the players are and what they need. It doesn't matter how you preface things. It's
yep.
also making sure that you meet them where they are as well.
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of people forget that moment where it's like, yo, you're talking to another human. Like this,
Yeah.
how you learned is not how they learned.
Mm-hmm.
They are coming to you to learn from you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the knowledge already. It's now time to express it so they can understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So like one things that my friends do if I'm learning a new video game, but it's also a shooter, they explain everything to me in Apex and I get it tenfold.
Yes.
Like I'm learning Valorant right now. So it's 2 things against me. I'm learning Valorant and I'm learning mouse and keyboard. So it's like I'm like, so what button is this? And they're like WASD. I was like, I got that part. I was like, how do I crouch? And I'm like, so can I shoot like an Apex player? And they're like, you can spam crouch, but you better be aiming. I'm like, okay, cool. So and then like learning the characters, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a character on there that's similar to Caustic, and I'm just like,
Yep.
oh, I was like, oh, she's cool. Like, what she do? And they're like, yo, she's like Caustic, but no gas canisters, but she has a gas wall. I'm like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
popping this everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, middle of the map, bow. So
Now I gotta
it's
ask because Scrib asked this earlier too. Who's your favorite Apex player to play?
oh, Bangalore. I'm sorry.
That was
I
easy.
love her through and through. Now I play everybody though. Like I have so much fun, but like it's between Bangalore,
Mm-hmm.
Maggie, Ballistic, and
Okay.
Watson. That's the top 4 right there.
That's not a
I know
small list. That's
it's not, but that's my top 4. Like
okay.
that's who I have fun with.
That's
It's
fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. No, because wait, like as a coach too, sometimes having preferences, do you think that ever influences the advice that you give to your players?
Yes. And it's a big thing because you also want them to be comfortable in it too. So
Mm.
when I would teach, when giving them the practices, like let's say for a tournament, I will always prefer for them to play the meta. I hate the meta, 100%. I'm like, if everybody plays the same thing, nobody's countering anybody. I need somebody that does the complete opposite of them. Like,
Fair.
if they can scan me up and down, I need to scan left and right, you know? And they'll just be like, they'll be like, but we don't want to play. I'm like, look, I don't want you guys to play this either. But this is what we have to do in order to be successful. So
Mm.
I make it so that way we're both uncomfortable so they can understand, like, I'm also not comfortable with playing in this, but I am comfortable enough to explain to you guys and show you guys how this can be beneficial in playing in these top tournaments. And one of the things was, one of my girls, she wasn't on PC. So the frames in between playing on console and PC, she's an amazing player, but the frames get her every time. And we noticed that. And even in that moment, trying not for her to like beat herself up, and it's like, well, am I bad at the game? I'm like, you're not. I'm like, you're not. I was like, these lobbies move different because they have the better frame rates. They, it's straight from a computer. It's not like, it's something different.
Yes.
And just by telling her that and like getting her to understand, I'm like, listen, like, I have no problem turning on my Xbox if you just want to learn through it. Like, this is how we can get through it. This is how I learned how to play in PC lobbies. I didn't let the frames bother me that much. I knew when I got outgunned. All right. Because if you hit me with 4 shots on a wingman from 5 miles away, you deserve the body. Okay?
You're welcome. Yes. You're
You're
go ahead.
welcome.
Take it.
I got you. I have 4 batteries in my box and some more sniper ammo. Restock. And just letting her understand, like, it's some moves that will work in console lobbies that won't work in PC lobbies because they can track it better. And just having that understanding and just like I'm like, again, I'm willing to do these things to make sure you're good, make sure you understand, and you still keep that level headed. And I promise you, it took me a minute for me to learn how to be level headed. I don't want nobody to
That's
think
a whole
like,
separate
oh my God.
thing. Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Boogie, you're so great. Let me tell you something. My mods hated me, and like Boogie 1.0 tournament style, I was the worst, okay? But I did not give up. They was
Fair.
my decompress times was 2 days.
Oh wow.
Like,
okay.
it was a lot.
That
it
is
was just a lot.
That is
going on. And I was
that's a big
like,
influence. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a bit invested at that point.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm just like, bro, like, I'm tired of this. And they're just like, Boog,
yes.
look at what you were against. And then that's when it's like, you're right. You're right.
Check
So
it.
I'm just calm down, take it back. But like now it's, I just don't play Apex the next day. I decompress for like 20 minutes. I get my snacks and then, I'm good to go. But that's that. Like, after tournament,
right,
I might have like an hour left of Apex in me. I use that to be alone for that hour.
Okay.
And then I hop right back into playing something else. And then the next day, I just don't play Apex.
That's fair.
Just
you have to know your rhythm. What works for you at the end of the day. Now, I want to go back to something. You're on a roll. You're running 500 miles, and I'm like 200 miles behind you.
No problem.
So I want to go back because you had mentioned like when you're talking about the frame rates or having to play characters or things that are against your favorites, right? Like understanding like you don't want to do this gameplay, but that's kind of part like the phrase you use is that's what we got to do to win. Right. And do you think that's kind of the big push that sometimes when people say like, oh, I want to be a competitive player, that's what holds them back is that they're still only stuck to saying like, I'm going to be a competitive player, but only with the character that I want to play, even though I'm on a team, or I'm only going to be a competitive player on the maps if the maps are the chosen ones that I want to play on. Right. Like they are still having the casual gamer mindset, the benefits of being a casual gamer. We can choose what we want to like and everything else we can choose to be bad at. But on the competitive side, you don't get that luxury. You're going to have to play it no matter if you like it or not, right? Is that a huge barrier that you see of competitors growing and being actual good team players?
Absolutely. That's really like a big thing because I tell I tell everybody like when they meet me and I'm playing Apex and they ask me like, who's my main? I'm like, I'm a variety main because I play everybody.
Mm.
Excuse me, not in a sense because I coach, but because I want to see what everybody does so I can understand like how they work in different scenarios, whether it's from pubs to rank to tournament, which legend is going to work better for how I play and those around me. And a lot of these players now, they think that it's just free for all, like, oh, I could just come in and do this and I'm going to kill it at that. You in the air for like a second longer. Like that is a free kill.
Yeah.
Like everybody's looking. We have used you as a recon drone because now everybody knows where the other teams are because you went up in the air because you wanted to get something, and a lot of people think that because like, oh, I played rank for like 2 seasons, like, oh, I could do comp.
Yeah.
It's a different mentality.
Yeah, like pause for a second. There's more to it than just being good, right?
It's like, okay, like you got the gun skills. That's cool.
Yes.
But do you know how to rotate out of a POI in 3 different ways? Do you know how to understand the lay of the land before you make your next move? Do you know how to stay level-headed in all of this? It's been plenty of times I've been in tournaments and, at the whole team, we're yelling at each other. We're like, yo, it's somebody right here, like 150 on them, 100 on them. And like, you're listening to all these different comms and nobody is taking anything personally. It's like, it's the adrenaline of all of us. Like, we know we want this team gone. Like, if I'm doing all this work, like I'm watching the front, somebody's watching the sides,
right? Somebody
gets a knock, and it's just like, you have to realize, like, you have to, like, sometimes this has to go fast.
Yep.
If you kill a team, like, you need to kill a team in less than a minute. Like, this fight can't go long because people rotate fast. And a lot of people think that that's just, oh, I play rank. It's the same thing. Absolutely not. There will be 19 teams in Ring 4. Don't know where none of these teams are. Everybody's hiding real well.
Yes.
But once it's like Ring 4 is now closing, it's pandemonium. And it's now, do you know how to play in pandemonium? Do you know how to stay calm in pandemonium?
Yes.
Do you know what you need to look for? How you want to rotate? If it's 2 teams on the left and 3 on the right with somebody on height, what's the better route? Do you try to grief a team? Do you just walk in with the storm? It's so many different steps in just playing one circle, just like looting and going. And it's like, yo, we need to hurry up and loot this as a team up here. We can push them because they playing this legend, right. And it's like, you try to.
There's a lot of quick decision making that needs to happen. Can you trust that everyone is going to give the information that is needed at that time, that you can make the right decisions because you know all the available options that are available to you? That's difficult. And that's such an important thing because being a competitive gamer feels so in reach and out of reach at the same time, right? Like the fact that anyone can pick up an Xbox or PlayStation or a PC, get the game. Some of these games are free, right? That you can hop in and just play them. And you're like, well, if I just get good enough, I can be someone who competes in this space. But there's a big difference of being a good then team player, of how do you elevate other than, you get a lot of kills, but right.
At what cost? Like,
at what cost?
Like, your teammates are dead. Like, yo, I had 12 kills. What happened? You had 12 kills. That's what happened. It's not a team thing. You can tell when a team is shooting together versus it's just one person doing a lot. And I say this is, I'd rather do a bad play as a team than a good play solo. Because it's really just like, did you think about your team at the time? Did you think about the guns they have, the characters they are? If you push this, do we have an escape route, or do we now have to fight to get this spot? It's all of those things that even me as a competitor, like, I think through and through. Like, I always ask my teammates at the beginning, like, what guns do y'all want? Like, what are we looking for? For me, everybody has a preference. So if it's something like, if everybody's running light ammo, I'm going to go energy and a sniper and let them know, like, I'm going to be sniping. Yeah. And, it's the little things like that that helps the flow going, because now I'm looking for my teammates to pretty much pick up where I left off. If I'm sniping, I'm like, yo, like, I need y'all to head this way, and I'm getting shots off and I do enough. By the time you guys get there, I'll follow up. So like, It's a lot of things versus just getting on the game, picking up the controller, like, okay, me and my friends about to sign up for this $300 tournament, and you realize that everybody is not looking at this as pubs because it's not. You now have money on the line, no matter the amount, and you're in a different setting to where people. As much as I hate sitting in Apex, and my friends can attest to this, I was like, yo, let's right. We have 5 kills, 3 assists. We can sit right here and do nothing. 2 seconds later, I will be shooting at a team on the other side of the POI. Like, I'm like, yo, they're rotating, and I'm popping sniper shots. And they're like, what happened to sitting still? I'm like, my bad. Like,
Come on.
I hit them though.
Yeah.
But like a lot of people don't understand, like it's a different gameplay now.
Sure.
This is not just run and gun. So as players are now like trying to get into the competitive scene, it's just the basics of your mental that also needs to elevate along with your skill set.
Yes.
And sometimes a lot of people that come into the competitive spaces come off kind of egotistical when it's just yeah.
Yeah, that's just
a lot of people have their egos.
Yes.
When they come into these spaces and they get humbled really, really fast. Yes. And then it's now they don't know where to point the blame to because they're not looking in their mirror.
Right.
They're not looking at like, well, oh dang, I shouldn't have did this. You're running across in the open. Nobody has any, you're still cover. Nobody has anything to give you cover. You have to be mindful of those things. Yes. So the egos is another thing that kind of like will tarnish a good time in being competitive, because if you're not willing to listen to anything, like it's been plenty of times where I wasn't the in-game leader, like I didn't make the calls or anything, and I was okay with that.
Yeah, right. Passing along, somebody else can. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like you're comfortable in this. If this is your play style, I'm willing to adapt and do what we have to do to get it going. And it's some people might be like, yo, it sucks because I want to do it my way. Sometimes your way is not for your way to do it today.
Right. Can you again put that ego aside? Can you understand that somebody else might have something brought to the table that will help lead? Right. And you got to be willing to give it a shot.
Absolutely. And again, am I saying that's for me? It wasn't a big thing to where I was just like, oh no, like I have to do it. No, it was more so I'm not used to having somebody else like do the calls that I call, whether it's an agreement or it's a better alternative. If option A don't work, we have option B and C and D.
Yes.
And it's like, if I'm making, it's like, oh, well, if we go here, we can hit this and then do that. And, it's pretty much just like, it's the spider web. And it's just like, you start here and then the spider web just keeps growing and growing and growing. And it's like, oh, I never realized this.
It changes though. It changes. And that's where it's like, people have to be willing to grow. And in spaces where people are so competitive, that is not always the most common mindset of saying, you know what, I'm here. I need to learn. I have room to grow. That's difficult, especially when sometimes it's malicious, right? Like some people just have big egos, but there's also that standpoint of it's difficult to grow when we're also trying to fight our own imposter syndrome. So sometimes we puff up our chest a little bit bigger than it should, when it's just like, it's okay to admit where you are. You're already on the team. We acknowledge where you're at. And having that honest conversation allows us to be able to move forward. But if you're not, it's a brick wall, whether it's done because you're a jerk or because you're insecure. It's difficult.
It is. And a lot of people won't look at it like that. They'll always look at it as if somebody's trying to attack them or their character, or it gets hard because we all are in this space just trying to help. Me as a coach, I'm trying to help. I'm willing to help. I'm making the time to help, learn you as a person. It's okay if you're scared. It's okay if you're nervous. That happens. But you have to come in with an open mindset to things.
Yes.
If you was to tell me 2 years ago that I would be a coach and be a COO of a group, I'd probably laugh in your face. And I'm just like, I don't know, nothing you're talking about, but okay. And
and yet here you are.
and here I am,
Yes.
So it's just like, even through all the times where I've been invited to tournaments, I never had like my own team.
Mhm.
I was really just like square with like spare change, like spare teammates,
Yes, yes.
like, hey, I'm in this tournament and I'm looking for two people,
Mhm.
whoever reaches out first and is has the
Yes.
availability to practice, I'll make that time.
Mhm.
Like, oh, if I work this day and this day, like we could practice this late or this late,
Yep.
and that's another thing too, just being adaptable to, learning. And it's
Yes.
just like practices are always different. I do like the most random challenges that I make up in Apex.
You're like, why
Okay.
not? Why not? But I want to tag in one more because I'm hearing you say these things. I'm like, you're also willing. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
so many people who are like, we have to wait for the perfect conditions. I gotta wait till I have the full team, right? And you're like, no, we'll take. We're missing two more. Bring them in. Bring it in. I happy to work with anyone. But that's a willingness. Some people want to make sure, especially if we're new in this space. I'm gonna call. I know myself included sometimes that we don't move forward. I don't move forward unless I feel 100% confident, and that stops us from the chance of putting ourselves out there. That stops us from having those conversations. But you have this wonderful willingness to say, I'm putting myself out there. I'm ready to get into this. I want to do this. I may not have two people that I need right now, but we're going to find them, right? And we're going to make it happen. And that's important to do.
It is. And that's really just like, and I've always been that way, like I'm always willing to make things work, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's a bumpy road getting there. Like it was one tournament I was invited to as a captain, and it was just like, I want to say like my big top prize tournament that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that I had to pick a team. So they gave me two girls. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
One don't play Apex enough. One only plays pubs. And I'm like,
Here we go.
okay. I'm like, all right. I'm like, so who do you know? Who do you know?
Yeah.
So now it's me building a team around them. Like, so now I have to like build myself to play around them. And I'll never forget, like, in the middle of like every game, like when it was like the next game loading in, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
having coaching sessions, like I'm muting my mic and I'm like, look, like this is what we should be doing. Like this is
Yes.
what I need you to do,
Yes.
And I'm telling them like I'm gonna do as much as I can to where it's like I don't need y'all to do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If I can knock two people, just take my spot and I'll come back in,
Yes.
and just them seeing like the effort in it. And one girl to this day, like she loved that day because she was given a chance to just play the game, She told me, she was like, I play pubs,
Yeah.
and she understood. I'm like, okay, so let me show you how to play this character
Yep.
in a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
One of the tips I gave as a lifeline main, I'm like, if we're out in the open and you have a care package, drop it down for cover and also resources. And she's like, I never thought of that. She's like, I know to call it for the stuff, but
Yeah.
like, I was
This
like,
is an
yeah,
option.
like, I'm like, yeah, like pop these ultimate accelerants and we can have like cover on each side.
Mm-hmm.
And just having them see like a different outlook on how to play the character, it made the tournament go smoother.
Yes.
Oh, because we also only practiced for 2 days. One girl was super busy, and then I had to work, and then the other girl only played at night. So like it was like the Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
and then we couldn't play Friday. And I'm
It's
just
fine.
like,
This is fine. We're gonna,
yep.
but you make it work, right? At the end of the day, you
Mm-hmm.
go, if this is what we have, we're gonna work with what we have. You don't just say, well, we're not gonna do this, right? You
Yeah,
find a way, you push forward. What does happen is what happens, and you make the most out of that time. That's so important to do.
absolutely. So that's just been that for me. So like even now, it's just hearing that people appreciated me giving them a time. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I want to show you this. Like this is what we can do. I don't care if you don't play Apex anymore after this tournament. You
Never
don't even
again.
you
Going
can
back to PUBG.
uninstall it, you know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just taking the time to understanding where I'm coming from and just like, oh my gosh, like thank you so much for that. And hearing the validation that, that they trusted me enough and I trusted them enough to
Mm-hmm.
get through this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And we were fighting. So don't get me wrong. We
Yeah.
we were fighting.
Yeah.
But it was just like
But in a
little
respectful way.
yeah. And it was just like little things that
Yes.
they wouldn't have known because
Mm-hmm.
they don't play competitively,
Yep.
they wouldn't know that like people were ratting corners. So it's like, if I'm going to play this legend, we not walking into a building until I scan.
Right.
So
Boogie, you are ever the coach, ever the help. I love that. But I think that's why people are drawn to you, is that you recognize what's important to learn. You have a healthy approach of what we can accomplish in a space, and I think that's what draws people to say, I want to keep learning. I want to know how she does Apex. I want to have her lead this team. I want her to be the coach here. I want to meet up with her for cosplays, right? I want to see how she streams and what's the process for it. You continue to be that beacon. Now, we are close on time. So
no.
I know, right? It went by so fast, but people will want to continue to follow you. You do so much in this space, and you are an amazing resource. You're an amazing human being who helps us to engage in this space, that welcomes people in, that gives us this launching point for people to say, maybe I should consider playing Apex, right? Maybe hopping into a competitive team. That's right. Everyone forget PUBG. Hop over to Apex. Just follow SheIsBoogie. Right?
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
It's easy. It's easy. We're converting right and left. But where can they find you to keep learning from you? Because you're an amazing individual. You provide all of this. How can they connect?
You can find me everywhere at SheIsBoogie. YouTube and TikTok is AEisBoogie, so AYE. So think Fonzie, but also like, so it's like, hey, it's Boogie. But like, so quick little lore, that name is my name because I'm kind of preparing for a rebranding, but I was like, this also could just be like a daily vlog type of thing. So when people see me, it's like, hey, it's Boogie. So that's that. But yes, I'm in Discords, I'm on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Threads.
Makes it easy.
I'm on all of that, Twitter/X, TwitX, whichever you want to call it. I'm on Kick if you just want me to follow you. If you need the followers up, I got you. Followers and views. I don't stream on there.
Yep.
At all. But yes, I'm SheIsBoogie everywhere.
That makes it easy. No, that's perfect. And also, small little note to anyone, if you hop on, like I have your Instagram up right now, you also just have your beacons link on there. So if you can't remember all of the amazing platforms that SheIsBoogie is on, just find them on one, and you will then get the link that you can then follow everywhere. But it also helps, like, if many of you are here on Twitch, just type in SheIsBoogie right at the end of this, and you can give a follow over on Twitch. Right? Easy peasy.
Go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, man.
When is your next stream, though?
My next stream will be tomorrow, actually, because we new season of Apex is starting. So when the update's up, I'm up.
There you go.
So I will be there. It's gonna be like one of my long streams. So we're gonna be going over like the new maps. We're gonna go over the patch notes and just explain over everything and dissect it and see what legend I'm gonna be maining for like the first 2 weeks, because I get bored sometimes. And
gotta start somewhere.
Gotta do something.
Do it till you hate it.
There you go. Yes, that's pretty much it. But yes, it will be tomorrow. Stream will start at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And yes, I do be live when I update. I'm hardwired. So easy. So yes, I'm easy.
No, I love that. I love that. That's right, Scrib. New maps in Apex. So if you need a guide, the best tour guide in the business, SheIsBoogie is going to help you. It'll start at noon Eastern. Perfect little walkthrough. What's all going on? So that way, when you hop in, you're like, I feel like an expert. I know exactly what to experience. That's right. But thanks to you, right? So many people get to hop into these games. They get to engage in their streaming space with confidence behind that controller, and that's so important. That is so important to making sure that this is a fulfilling endeavor, no matter where they are, as a player, as a streamer, as a cosplayer, whatever it is. So, Boogie, thank you so much for being on this show, sharing who you are. Any final words before we wrap up today's episode?
I just want to thank you for having me. Like like I said in the email, I've been fangirling all weekend. I have been a big fan of you. Like, I've been a big fan of the game her since I started. So like the PinkPixels series, I was like, it's more of me. Yes, give me all of them. So I'm just so grateful to be here and everything. Thank you to everybody that has tuned in. I see my community, Be Nice, Machiavelli, Ray, Candle Snacks. Like, I love you guys so much. And yeah, I just thank you guys so much.
Aw, I love that. Well, we
Yeah.
love having you on here. The Gamers, of course, obviously adores you, and so do so many other people for a million reasons. And so I hope you remember that there are a million reasons that you are loved. Thank you, Boogie, for coming on here. Good friends, remember, make sure that you give She Is Boogie a follow. This is one of the best ways that we can make sure that we support amazing creators in the space, especially ones who are doing so much to make it a welcoming, fun place to offer inspiration. I know it's Monday. It's Monday and we've answered a million emails and we have a full work week ahead of us. So making sure that you stay plugged in with people that remind you of the joy in which we do these things, to give us advice, to be a support as we go through is so important. So continue to build out those networks, make those connections, fill up your social feeds with people that inspire you, that you want to cheer on. She is Boogie is one of those. So drop by tomorrow's stream, noon Eastern, here over on Twitch. And good friends, if you enjoyed today's conversation, we'll see you next week for another episode of Pink Pixels. We'll see you all later. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.